All right, how's everybody doing this evening? All right, so welcome to Memoirs, True Stories Unfiltered at Kinship Landing. What do we think of this space? Yeah, it's beautiful in here. So usually when we start memoirs, I always try to give a few words on why memoirs exist at all. So this month, we've got Memoirs Exist to give our community the space it needs for openness, vulnerability, and active listening to take form. After all, sometimes all we really require is a compassionate ear to give space for us to talk it out. Just offering a listening ear and an understanding heart for what any of us may be going through creates the foundation for healing and growth to occur. So this is one of the reasons that memoirs exist. I didn't do it in spoken word like you, but... So, by show of hands, do we have any first-timers here? Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. I know what you first-timers are thinking. All of you are thinking, how can I get up here twice like Dr. Garrett Goggins and tell a story? How many of you are thinking that? I see, yes. Not all of you at once, please. Well, if you are interested in telling your memoir, all you need to do is tap me or Maritza on the shoulder, or you can go to memoirscos@gmail.com, send us a message, and we will be happy to get you in the pipeline and help you get ready to be on the memoir stage. You can follow us on our socials. We are Memoirs COS on the Facebook and the Gram, so follow us if you haven't. We also have a podcast that's starting to get more and more listens. It's really starting to gather some momentum. So if you'd like to hear some of the past memoirs, and just as a reminder, Memoirs is already over a year old, which means we've had over 35, 36 stories that you can go back and listen to. So go check that out on all your favorite podcast stations and players and all that. So next are these stickers right here. We all have water bottles in Colorado, and we designed these so that you can put them on your water bottle and wet them and wash them. But these are our Memoirs, True Stories, Unfiltered stickers, and part of the proceeds of this go to CASA, and CASA is right across the street over there, and CASA is the court-appointed special advocate, and I am going to invite our CASA rep on stage so that she can tell you a little bit more about CASA. I'm also going to give her this money from the stickers we sold last time. Thank you, Crystal. So here you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the support of CASA. We really appreciate it. My name is Crystal Erickson. I'm the program director. Again, our building is right across the parking lot here. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. And what we do is we try to engage community volunteers to become advocates for children who have open child abuse and neglect cases here in Colorado Springs. There's unfortunately not a day that goes by here in El Paso County where a brand new child abuse case does not open. So we need the community to come together and care about the children who live here, and we are here to train and equip and support you to do just that. So if anyone is interested in learning more, I will be at the table right in the middle there. I have some brochures. We do have other programs in addition to our advocacy program that I'd be happy to talk to you about as well. We again appreciate the support of this event and the money that allows us to keep doing what we do in this community. I know tonight's theme is from boom to bloom, so if I may just share a quick quote that is really meaningful to me around that. We all go through hard times, right, that make a big boom in our lives. And one of my favorite authors, her name is Christine Kane, and her quote that I carry with me is, sometimes when you are in a dark place, you feel like you've been buried, but actually you've been planted. And that is a quote that I carry with me, and I actually have a bloom tattoo on my wrist to remember that quote by. So really excited to be here tonight and hear the stories. Thanks again for your support, and thanks for the opportunity.
I couldn't have planted that tattoo any better myself. Are you sure that's not henna and you didn't do it on purpose? All right, so you may see these on your tables. These are what are called anonymous memoirs. We encourage you to fill it out anonymously, and we will read them out throughout the evening, and we also post them on our socials so we can see all the secrets that people in our town are holding. So please fill them out because they're a fun addition. So let's please put our hands together for Kinship Landing and allowing us to use this beautiful garden room. I hope that the drinks are delicious, and for those of you that are eating, I hope that it's been delicious because the food here is pretty good. So please enjoy it while you have the chance. And I'd like to thank my Memoirs team. So I'd like to thank Coral out there who's checked you all in. Thank you, Coral. Erica Wald, who helps us with some social media. Thank you, Erica. And of course, my lovely wife and business partner, Maritza. Wow, look, you're more popular than everybody. And of course, thank you, Colorado Springs. So give yourselves a hand. I need to turn this page over here. There we go. So thank you to our courageous storytellers of the evening, whose theme tonight is From Boom to Bloom. So first, we will have Molly Adkins with Midlife Crisis to Midlife Awakening. Then we're going to have a special something over here. And then we have Heather McDaniels with Coming In, H.O.T, Hot. And then we will wrap it up with Judy Pearing and Finding Flourish. Yes. Yes! So now the anecdote of From Boom to Bloom is we've all had seasons of setbacks, disappointments, and hindrances. One can find themselves frustrated during these moments. Let's remember that there has never been a wind that did not change directions. Clouds do not hang forever, and April showers bring May flowers, or in our case, May snow will bring a colorful June, or something like that. But I don't really know because I'm new here, so don't mind me. All right, so with that, I would like to invite Molly Adkins to come up to the stage and share with us Midlife Crisis to Midlife Awakening.
I don't think I've been this nervous since, gosh, maybe my college days when I was a music major and I had this incredible stage fright that would make me nauseous and cry and all these horrible things I thought I had gotten over. But tonight, it's all that stuff is coming right back up. I remember my music teacher in high school, actually. She was the one that gave me that stage fright, actually. She was the one that told me to stop singing. Yeah, she was the one. And, you know, I can't really blame her. I mean, I loved music, and I've always loved music. I'm currently a sound healer, so you can see that I've kept music in my life. Yeah, and so when this stage fright is really coming back. I'm so sorry. Woohoo! Oh, thank you. All right. Now I'm going to start where I actually was going to start. And I brought up a Tibetan singing bowl with me because I could put my notes in the inside. So let me tell you my story. About 2 years ago, I bought a Mercedes-Benz SLK 250 red hardtop convertible. I was the hottest high school teacher in Indiana. Absolutely. It was maybe the first time I had some of the guy teachers talk to me that day that I drove in with my convertible. And they're all like, midlife crisis car. I'm like, no way. This is not a midlife crisis. I like to think of it as my midlife awakening. Not that car in particular, but what has led up to actually me being standing right here today. The thing is it took me about 20 years to understand or to know that I needed to leave my husband. 20 years. It's a really long time. I see some nods out there. So yes, I feel you. And the thing is that it wasn't a typical marriage in that I met my husband in Japan. I had moved there after college and actually spent 11 years there. And I met, and you're like, are you all thinking that he's Japanese? No. He's actually from South Korea. And he didn't speak English. I didn't speak Korean. So our common language was actually Japanese. So we created our relationship on a language that we are both speaking a second language, right? And they were both displaced in our culture too. So we're living in a culture in Japan, and we're speaking the second language. We fell in love and got married and moved back to, well, for me, moving back to the States, for him coming to the States for the very first time. We had a beautiful 3-month-old, gorgeous little girl, and moved back. It was the first time that I had lived in the States as an adult. I had gone right after college, 11 years in Japan, and showed up here with a husband who didn't speak English, and me trying to navigate this new world, new to me because of all the reverse culture shock. And I was hanging on to all of that culture, the Asian culture, the Japanese culture that became so ingrained in my life because I had lived there during my 20s, right? It's at my formative years. And so here I am trying to serve my Korean husband and also be an American woman and taking the reins, and I'm working full time while he's trying to learn English, and it was a rocky time. It was really rocky. I really wanted to. Let me take a step back. I had a few alarms go off in my life, and there's two in particular that really brought this awakening to me. And one was in 2017. 1917, I have not been along. 2017, when I took this yoga class, got this email from a yoga teacher from a yoga studio as a teacher, and they were offering buy 1 month, get one free. So I started going to this yoga class. 7 a.m., 6 a.m. during the summer. What high school teacher gets up and goes to yoga class at 6 a.m., right? But I started going, but it was so special. Mantra singing, crystal singing bowls. Things started to move for me. I felt that energy, but I didn't know what it was at that time, but things were moving. I was having energetic releases. I am crying in the yoga class. And why is warrior pose making me cry? What's going on? So this is my beginning of wanting to understand more about energy work. That year I became a Reiki master practitioner. I enrolled in my yoga teaching training, became a yoga teacher. I also enrolled in Sound Healing Academy, where I studied all about sound healing. And this was the beginning of my journey of what has put me right here. It was during yoga class or yoga teacher training that I realized that I needed to leave my husband. That was a really big step for me, because all those years, that fear of what is on the other side, what happens. And so many of us, I believe, are afraid of moving forward, doing what we want to do, moving towards our passion, because we don't know what's on the other side, right? And that has been my life, really has been my life. I declared my music major as a senior in college and university because I was afraid to become a music major. And then I was afraid to do anything with it. So what did? I went to Japan And I was like, I'm just going to be here a year or two. I ended up studying Japanese music as well. I did my master's degree in Japan in ethnomusicology, where I studied vocal music, vocal Japanese music. I also competed in Japan in singing Japanese folk songs. So if you think about Japanese folk song, it's not music that you write down. It's all rote memorization. And the teacher says a line, sings a line, and then you sing it back, and he's like, no, honey, do it again, and again, and again, and again, until you get it right. So this is the type of music I was doing, and I was competing, and I worked all at local level, worked all the way up to national competition. There's like only 10 people in the nation of Japan that actually get to nationals. I was one of those. I didn't get first place. That was okay, because I knew deep down inside that was not my purpose. But I still didn't know what that was exactly. So there was another alarm that went off. So I had the alarm when I was taking that yoga class, right? The next alarm was a year ago December. My sister gives me a call, and this is in Indiana, by the way, not here in Colorado, it's in Indiana. And she's like, yeah, my husband and I just bought this RV, and we want to go on this really long 1-year trip, and we need somebody to take over my business, and we just need somebody. And I'm like, Nance, I can do that. I'm like, I have been teaching for 19 years in the same classroom and can count the number of days I took off on one hand. I can do that. And I need a break. So we agreed. I took a year leave. It was all worked out last June. It's almost been a year now. Last June, she says, we're not going on our trip. We don't need you anymore. Wow, was that a big alarm going off. I did not have a job, but I did have a mortgage. And I was hoping that at that time, I was thinking that yoga and sound healing, which was my side gig at that time, was going to be my main thing after I retired, which should have been in 5 years. But then, as I'm working through, why in the world would have this happened, right? I started working with a business coach who was also a spiritual coach. I was meditating 2 hours a day, doing yoga, doing sound healing, healing myself, healing all kinds of past wounds. Came to the realization, and I can look back at it now and say, it was the universe just pulling the rug out underneath me and saying, get the hell out there now, because you just don't need to wait any longer. Go out and do it. Find your passion. Do what you want to do. So that is what I did. I sold my house, sold everything in it except my sound healing instruments, and about totes I had, and I had a friend help me. We packed up her SUV, and I had my 2 cats in my car, and she drove me out here to Colorado, because deep down inside, I wanted to live in the mountains. So we drove. we came out. It was just end of November, and went to Victor, Colorado. Anybody know Victor? Way up there, yeah. Okay, another 7-10 miles out on a woodboard dirt road. That's where I was, way out there in a tiny house. And I was there for about a month and realized that I needed to have a little more interaction. My AT&T, I couldn't call my kids. My pipes were frozen in my tiny house. I didn't have running water. I did not want to put on my winter hat and boots to go up to the other building to take a shower anymore. So I came down to Colorado Springs one day and got an apartment. And I've been down here since the end of December. And since I've been here, things have been opening up. Do you know that feeling when you know that you're aligned with what you're supposed to be doing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I know it. And I had never had so many doors open in what I've been doing, like, you know, networking with people and seeing people. And, you know, in the 4 months that I've been here, I have met more people probably than I ever had when I was living in Bloomington, Indiana, and more people that have been so supportive in what I'm doing. And I was even, you know, the opportunity to be able to run, I'm managing my own little space. I have opened my own business, taking one-on-one clients, doing sound healing journeys for group events. And I have never been more scared in my life, but have never been so happy and so joyous in what I'm doing every single day. So let me take a look at my notes. So this is where I am, and this is where I know I'm supposed to be. And I am in my midlife, but again, this is not my midlife crisis. This is not my midlife crisis. This is my awakening. This is my vision. It's my passion. It's where I have been headed all of my life. And, you know, that music teacher that told me to stop singing, I'm going to keep singing, and I'm going to keep playing, and I'm going to keep following my passion. Thank you.
So now we're going to get a special presentation of some sound healing. So let's give Molly a hand as she gets ready to heal our souls with sound.
Take a deep breath and create your own intention. Something that you would like to manifest in your life. Starting with the 2 words, I am. I am courageous. I am healthy. I am. And hold hold that in your heart as if it has already been manifested in your life. What actions are you taking? What feelings, what emotions are you feeling? How are you being in this moment? Just truly feel that in your heart. It has indeed been manifested for you.
And with that, we have a break. So go refill those drinks, feel that energy, and we'll be back in a few minutes. All right, Memoirs friends, it's time for our next story. But before we do that, I'm going to call Molly back over here to pick one of these anonymous memoirs. Who's ready to hear a secret? Yeah, let's see here. So pick one of these right here at random. There's only two in here. Now there's only one. I know people here have secrets. In the basket, please. Try to make the handwriting legible.
I feel like I wrote this, but I didn't. Okay. If I only knew when I was younger that I should have embraced the blooms sooner, now that I've come to the springs to reinvent myself, I can't wait to see how I bloom. Nice.
Thank you. All right, more anonymous memoirs, please. Please. And with that, I feel the temperature rising. I feel the temperature rising. Heather McDaniel is going to come tell her story. And the title of her story is Coming In Hot. So let's get after it. Let's give Heather a big hand.
Okay, so I'm not as brave as Molly is, and I came up here with my papers. First of all, I have to tell all you guys a secret, okay? We're all fixing to become best friends in here, and I'm okay with it. So I wasn't supposed to speak at Memoirs until July. And when Flip asked me to speak, I was like, sure, July. Like, that's like 1, 2, 3, 4 months away or something. And then one day, I'm driving down the road, and Flip calls me on Messenger, and he's like, hey, how do you feel about speaking in Memoirs in May? And I was like, no. And he was like, no, really? And I thought he was joking, so I laughed. But he was like, no, he was like, our theme is from boom to bloom. He said, and it's your turn. I was like, Yes, because I knew if I said no, I would chicken out, and I wouldn't do it. So, with that being said, as I was preparing for tonight, I'm already getting crazy. I read, there is a paragraph in a book that I'm reading. See? You told me you were going to cry. You made me cry. But it's called Crazy Faith. And the paragraph goes like this, or the passage goes like this. Every step out of your comfort zone is monumentous. Every step past fear makes you a walking miracle. I practiced this so many times, and I was like, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry. Every time that you share your testimony is monumental. And the words that you speak in faith bring momentum. So here I am coming in hot. I got this topic from a friend of mine I just had a one-to-one with a couple of weeks ago. And hot is not what you guys think it is. It's honest, open, and transparent. So, you guys know I'm crying because I'm not a nervous person and I'm not shy. This is my first time ever telling my story in front of anybody. So, here we go. My childhood, it was normal, for whatever normal means for anybody else. My parents, they're still together. My parents have been married for almost 37 years. And both my parents, they worked full-time jobs. They went to school full-time, both while me and my brother were still in diapers. So in my teenage years, I got this, like, super unhealthy, obsessive idea of what a normal relationship looks like, right? And I wanted that fairy tale lifestyle, right? Everybody wants a picket fence. They want to stay at home. Moms, they don't want to work because they want a man who makes enough money that you don't have to work. You can take care of your kids. My floor is so clean that somebody could eat off of them. I wanted the perfect husband, the perfect kids, the perfect life. I wanted the whole 9 yards. So from high school until about 2 years ago, I had this really unrealistic expectation of what a relationship looks like or what it's supposed to be. And I always thought that if I love somebody enough and if I give enough of myself to other people, then I can save them. Insert unhealthy relationships. So we'll skim through, a couple years of my life. I got married when I was 20. I had my daughter. 8 weeks later, I separated from him. He was having an affair. I was single for about 4 years, and then I met my son's father. So God decided that I needed a son. I already had a daughter, so he decided that I needed a son. So while practicing safe sex and being on birth control, I got pregnant, and 10 months later, my son was here. 4 years and 5 relapses later, and I was single again. So in the midst of all of this, I actually went to school. It took me 7 years to get a 4-year degree, but I got it. And because of my son's father, I actually also got a master's degree in addiction studies. I don't use either one of them, so it's okay. So you would think after 2 failed relationships, 2 kids, 2 different dads, you would think I learned my lesson, right? No, absolutely not. So I came in like a wrecking ball to the online dating world. And after a few eggplant pics and requests for peaches and kitty cats later, I thought I met my Prince Charming. Within 8 months, we were married. So before everybody judges me, in my defense, we definitely had the perfect first date. We went to the state fair, we rode the Ferris wheel, and then we sat in this some late night diner. It was the only one open in the whole entire town, and we made hard eyes at each other for 5 hours. Every girl wants that, right? right? Nevertheless, I moved 3 hours away from my family to be closer to his. And we moved into our apartment together. So immediately after we moved into our apartment, the switch flipped and it was like dominoes. I started to lose a little piece of who I was. Every day I felt like somebody different and I didn't know who I was anymore. We visited my parents a lot less. They were about 3 hours away, so it wasn't terribly far, but we visited them a lot less. And I became a stay-at-home mom, and what I thought was going to be a dream come true, it was a nightmare. It was the worst. But it wasn't the worst because I got to spend more time with my kids. It was the worst because of all the pressure and the other things that came along with that. Then came the sly remarks, the you don't work, so you don't have any money. The you don't do anything, you're lazy, the laundry's not done fast enough, dinner's not cooked fast enough. And then it was the losing touch with my friends. I lost all the friends I had, and it was because every single time I picked up my phone, it was, who are you talking to? Who is that? Is that your other boyfriend? Like, how old are we? Are we in first grade? It was the, where are you going? Who are you going with? How long are you going to be gone? Who are you going with? Oh, that girl? I don't like her. You're not going. You're staying home. So, I got to the point where I didn't even like going anywhere. So, if I went anywhere and if I didn't answer text message or he called and I didn't answer the phone, he showed up quicker than the landlady when you owe her rent money. It was terrible. The more that time went on, the more that I started to lose myself and it became more rapid. I spent every moment trying to please somebody that just didn't care. He wasn't appreciative of anything, but I spent every second of every day trying to please this man. And then in April of 2019, my world fell apart, or so I thought so. I found out that my second husband was having an affair, and he was actually having an affair with a college kid from down the street at the local tavern that he used to go to for wing night with his dad and his brother. So his dad and his brother hit the wings off. So his dad and his brother, they knew he was having an affair. And there's far more that goes along with that, but they knew that he was dating me. And he was dating her too, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, we're family dynamic. So in the months to follow, there was a whirlwind of events. There was a lot of begging, there was a lot of pleading, there was a lot of fighting and counseling and drinking, and the late night drunken phone calls with Jekyll and Hyde, and the constant battle in myself that I didn't understand what in the hell could possibly be wrong with me that I can't be loved. Everybody has to have an affair, right? So the summer of 2019, I sent my kids to my parents' house. They were gone for a couple of weeks, and I was alone. I went to the pool all day. At this point, I was drinking a case of beer every single day, and I was okay with that. But I drank a case of beer, and I had what I thought was going to be my last meal. I locked myself in my apartment, and whatever medicine was in my medicine cabinet, I mixed it all together. And I grabbed the bottle of Fireball, because that's what I drank. But I grabbed the bottle of Fireball, and I grabbed a whole bottle of pills, and I decided I was done. I was checking out. And so, as I sat on my bathroom floor and took a whole bottle of pills, handful at a time, and I took a solo cup full of Fireball whiskey. I started to pass out. So I decided at that point I was done. I was done pretending. I was done pretending that that I was okay. I was done pretending that I wasn't hurting, and I was done pretending that I wasn't pissed off. And as I passed out on the floor, I heard a voice. And it was the weirdest thing. It's still really, really hard for me to wrap my head around the voice that I heard. It sounded like my own voice. And the voice that came out said, "If you aren't going to take care of your kids, who's going to do it?" And I threw up more that night than I've ever thrown up in my whole entire life. I've been to a lot of college parties, and I threw up more that night than I've ever thrown up in my whole life. And the next morning, I found a counselor, and I got put on medication. I was diagnosed with situational anxiety, which is not really a thing. It's actually called generalized anxiety disorder and depression. So at that point, I felt like I went from being in this really, really dark place to being in a fog. I was going through the motions every single day, but I felt like I was nothing. I was just here. I was the shell of a human. I didn't do anything. I didn't feel anything. So in December, I was going through my closet, New Year's cleaning. Everybody has spring cleaning. I have New Year's cleaning. And there was a pair of running shoes. This same pair of running shoes had been staring at me for 7 years. The last time I used them was 6 months postpartum after having my son. And for some reason, I never threw them out. So I was like, what's the worst that could happen, right? So I picked up these running shoes, I laced them up, and I ran every single day. I ran through the aches and the pains and the soreness and the crying and the yelling. How crazy does somebody look running on a public road screaming at themselves? That was me. That was me. And within 3 months of picking up these old dusty ass shoes, I ran myself right off my medication. I started working on myself. I started to love myself and figure out what that really meant. What does that really look like? Because at the end of the day, who in the hell is going to love you if you don't love yourself? And that's a fact. So I started doing all of this, then boom, the pandemic. So here I was, again, a single parent, 2 kids, insurance agent working in the corporate world. I worked for State Farm. Loved them, loved the first agent that I worked for. But I had a 5th grader and a 1st grader at that time that how in the world am I going to homeschool both of these kids? And we have no idea how long this thing is going to last. And then my mom called me one day and she was like, look, your kids are out of school. My parents just moved here in January of 2020. And she said, what are you going to do? If this thing goes on past the summer, are you going to homeschool these kids next year too? And I was like, hell no, not in this 1,400 square foot apartment. I'm not. So then it was the bloom. So I took the biggest leap of faith I've ever taken in my whole entire life, and I moved to Colorado. I got rid of almost everything I owned. My dad, except my running shoes. And actually, I retired those running shoes right before I moved here. I ran so much, I retired those running shoes. And that was a very sentimental moment in my life as well. But my dad flew from Colorado to South Carolina. I sold everything I owned. And my dad packed up about 10 boxes. Most of it was my kids' stuff. And we put it in the back of a U-Haul, and 23 hours later, we arrived in Colorado. Yeah, cross country. It was rough. It was long. I think it was 3 days, and I think we slept in a hotel one night. And so my story is not over. I don't have a white picket fence. My kids piss me off at least 5 times a day. At least 5 times a day. I have 2 dogs, so my floors, they're never clean. Although my kids eat off of them anyways. My laundry, it takes 1 hour to wash, 55 minutes to dry, and 7 to 10 business days to fold. Unless Zach gets to it first because he does all the laundry. And this is Zach. That's my better half. So my relationship with him, it's not perfect, not by any means, but that is the realest thing that I've ever had as far as relationships are concerned. He's honest, and he calls me out on my shit when I'm wrong, and he ain't afraid of it. and that's what I needed in life. So today I stand before you, unapologetically me. I'm a child of the King. I'm a mother. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter, a girlfriend. I'm a business owner, an entrepreneur. I'm a dreamer, a visionary. But most of all of these things, I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor of domestic violence in whatever that looks like. And I'm a survivor of attempted suicide. So I tried to kill myself. So I was given a second chance, and I firmly believe that I was given a second chance. By the grace of God, I'm here to share my story with all of you and everybody that's online and everybody that watches this. And the legacy that I want to leave is I want to leave the legacy of normalizing conversations about mental health because it's a thing. And to promote always coming in hot, always being honest and open and transparent with people, and to encourage others, women and men, because domestic violence happens to men as well, that to feel empowered through these things and keep going. Don't give up, because I almost did. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So I want to close with this. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Do your research. And if you're struggling, please reach out to somebody. Don't suffer in silence, because you're going to hurt somebody else that is going to live past you. So I'm done.
And with that, Molly is going to give us another round of sound healing.
Just have to say, I've never had a sound healing where everybody watched. It's usually everybody's laying down on the ground with their eyes closed. It's a little odd. There we go. That's right.
All right, guys, I'm calling you all out. There's one anonymous memoir in here. Get your stuff together and put some anonymous memoirs in here so that we can read something when we get back from this break. All right. Yeah.
Heather McDaniel, can you please come back over here again? You've got secrets to read out. Someone else's secrets. You don't have any more.
I already put them out of the box. Oh, my.
Oh, that's a long one.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we have a novel. We have a novel secret.
Okay. I had 2 children, young, 21 and 23. Then I had a son at 30. In my 20s, I did not know who I was, and I honestly did not enjoy being a mom. When I had my son, I was flooded with guilt because of how much I love him and enjoy being his mom. The silver lining is that it has really helped me strengthen the relationship with my daughters and has taught me so much about myself and life. Don't hold on to mistakes, guilt, or the past. It doesn't define your future. Learn, move on, grow, and bloom.
Thank you. All right, Judy Pearing. Or what last name would you like me to call you? I know you have more than one. All right, it's Pearing. So let's put our hands together for Judy Pearing and Finding Flourish.
Okay, guys, I'm still trying to find it. So, Flip asked me on Wednesday last week to show up for you guys here today, and timing is an interesting thing. I do pretty well under pressure. You guys can be the judge. Looks can be deceiving. I'm not an asshole over here writing things last minute. I'm trying to make a clean draft, and I got about halfway through. So we'll go for the clean draft, and then I'm going to switch, and we'll see. Maybe I can keep everybody with me. All right. And single-handed, here we go. If it gets too hard, I might have to ditch the mic, you guys, okay? Here we go. Some believe all of the universe's events, not only as actions and actual happenings, but all events, from words and emotions to include intent, through time, for all expressions of life, have been, are, and continue to be imprinted permanently, in the instant, perpetually, and continually stamped, not only to be tracked, but accessed by either enlightenment or divinity, and perhaps they are truly the same thing. We've come up with a myriad of explanations and ways to navigate, written and passed down, lit pathways and paved roads to follow, and there's always a new angle to see it from. Infinite perceptions to run through. Experience is the most intimately personal truth. And even as we stand here together now, each of our takeaways will be our own, based on who we are right now, rooted in how we have grown, depending on our current state in this moment, coming in wrapped up in our personal experience as we work to explore our feelings and choose the route of our reasoning and rationalization skills at every turn. So, I prefer to enjoy myself, so as hard as this gets, I invite you to take a deep breath. I'll try to bring to light my best self, and I mean only the most genuine, safe connection as we revel in our awe-inspiring existence, as we each see it. I stand in reverence to all that has been, is, and ever will be. I feel blessed to bask in your presence, surrounded by powerful expressions of life tonight, or as we each perceive it. The theme is boom to bloom, so the first explosion we've touched on today is existence. Boom! Which leads us to the universe. By looking for the farthest observable point from Earth as it continues to expand, scientists gather the end of our universe is 46 billion light years away from us right here. All right, okay. We get it. I met my first friend when I was brand new, and my family went to visit her at 8 months old in the hospital, where her life was spared from spinal meningitis in her knee. Boom. She was blessed with a midwife for a mother, so they caught it in time, and she's okay. Bloom. Since then, I've been blessed by the influence of her whole family, taking care of me, too, as a kid. Her father, in his pastime, would study religions and existence, and he would always have some new remarkable lesson about the universe and man's conquest to fathom it. Boom. Move to bloom. The solar system. We have our star, the sun, and all that is bound by its gravity. My housemate and co-captain Pun Lu always opens my eyes to how fascinating the facets are as we sit on our axis, interacting with everything else in orbit, natural or otherwise at this point. Boom. And how it dictates life on Earth. Bloom. This life is our most sanctified fling. Punlu, who comes from Cambodian royalty, and I facilitated an international house through our 20s in Roxbury Crossing, Boston. And Rezwan was one of our first roommates, and he carried himself like Bengali and West African nobility. And with our peers from around the world, we explored the cultures documented and discussed patterns through time and through music, dancing, cards, excursions, and our own studies. Through the years, we each pursued our own renditions of who we are, from whence and wherefore to, and how we could each best evolve together. Not a single one of us could have predicted our futures. But we all meant well, and I believe that we still do. So life on Earth, to the human species, boom. We take pride in our conscious. Rise up, we got that cerebral cortex. Communicating through countless languages, we're forming ideas and expressing them, and interacting on a global level to a viral extent. We're blending among cultures, and my boy Jean-Pierre and I have riveting exchanges as we each further explore all the vines and exponential deviations as we each intertwine. Limitless, unique styles of human being. Now, I might not be right if I were to assume that we're all human in here. And I could be wrong to surmise... Uh-oh, where'd we go? Ah! Oh my gosh, you guys, these are small words. I've got to stop looking up. I just want to see you. I just want to see your faces. Okay. And I might be wrong to surmise how we got here, okay? But let's, for the sake of a 15-minute time frame, let's pinpoint conception, all right? I'm trying to remember, and help me out here, but I'm just not sure if my genetic makeup was up to me. I just don't remember having a voice in the conversation. And now, in this day and age, conception really can happen in so many ways it's alarming. But I just don't know yet of an infant that got to customize their own DNA sequence. But who knows what's on the horizon? As for us, we just have to dress in our skin and everything as it winds, you know, genetically. And I still have time for surprises. I think we each might. We exist outside of our own control. And that unique is how we each bloom. Even siblings don't conform to one sequence, so unless you're a clone, not seeing any clones, I don't think, then take solace in the fact that you are individually your very own. Make alterations at your own risk. So boom, we've been brewing and then we're born. The epitome of vulnerability. And survival is not in everyone's cards. So I hold space and I honor the seeds and the babies that didn't make it. May we know the value that we hold. We're alive. We can't even measure that weight in gold. You're worth it. Feels confusing at times to survive. Sometimes we wonder why. Why me? Why not someone else? Why not another? But we're here, so let's optimize our existence and reach for individual fulfillment so we can support each other as we move forward. Now, making and taking care of babies should arguably be innate. But nature works in mysterious ways, especially when you pour in, too much of the modern day. Yikes, we might have made it harder. Our realities are so complex, it's astounding as we swim in generational trauma. Famine, sickness, war, through the evolution of hierarchy. Many of us don't have the privilege to know our familial history. And so it affects us each, treading in our own subconscious wake. We're just babies, remember? Now, I was privileged to grow up number 5 of 6. Same 2 parents under one roof. Being one of the youngest, I was raised more by the group. But my husband is an only child, and he's shown me the most important aspects of family. And many of those who I refer to as brethren have survived through amazing ranges of blood and circumstantial families. When at first we can't help ourselves, we're subject to our surroundings, and we absorb an assortment of self-care routines that we may question later from time to time for the rest of our lives. My parents had open doors, and I was influenced early on by minds from all over the world. And I worked to continue access to global influence for my own children, and we find our way to influence. We find our way to bloom. Quirks and all. Boom. Outside influence. Boom. We are introduced to the outside world, and we must learn to navigate for ourselves all the time the developing mind. Now, I'm starting to remember my siblings. They teased me that I was adopted. So I've adopted a loose tether to where I came from. And as a child, I was often mistaken for being a boy. So I doubted my own gender. We all have interesting insecurities through life. That shapes our eyes. Boom, adolescence. Wait, we haven't bloomed. Hold on, wait, Well, I thought I'd be ahead of the game, having watched 3 older sisters and 1 big brother. But that coupon code got rejected. I had to take my own path through tumultuous. Through that storm, I'm forever going to be embarrassed about how I handled those years. And I make it very clear to my children in hopes that this might be their key to exempt. 1, we cannot control anything that happens to us or around us. 2, we can only control how we respond. So think about it first and be strategic. What they do doesn't lie on you. But what you do, that's all yours. Three, there lies power in demonstrating the self-respect not to be swayed. Let's call it the price of the mystery. 4, your reaction, giving weight to parlay, validates their game, and they perceive a win. Be too valuable a card to play. We're all struggling, and we all make mistakes. If you're in the line of someone's fire, you can internalize it and try to carry it with them, or you can focus on carrying your own weight. Encourage them to carry theirs, for we can all find our way past insecurity and fear, and we shine best when we power our own lights. Yikes. I got caught up in rebelling against expectation and feeding the fire in my heart until I finally looked inside and realized I was expecting a baby of my own along with my high school diploma. Boom. So teenage pregnancy. Cleared up my gender confusion. I'm telling you. No more questions. I get it. blessed me with a priority far greater than social acceptance. My whole community thought I landed on a chute for an instant takedown. Whoop! There goes Judy. But she was the foundation for my most enduring ladder, my spark that continues to light my fire. To climb, that little girl saved my life and gave me purpose. And all of my influences were now shaping hers. So I better pay attention. And we're out here trying to be young professionals. We're trying to hone our skills and aim for the directions of our paths. Some of us are making our dreams come true. Some of us are trying to keep our noses above water. For others, each dream is new. I started on a path called psychology. I think I skipped that page. I learned Spanish, working with immigrating and inner city juventud, peddling my daughter for 13 years to the Uptown Dance Center, trying to prove that I could be the mother of a black and Puerto Rican child. Too, right? Me too. I think I can. But like everybody else, I might need some help. And I'm not confused about the global crew from every stage of my life that has pushed me to continue to open my eyes. The young professional, maybe the parent, maybe both, perhaps neither. In this day and age, shoot, you don't have to have kids. As adults, we must choose our actions wisely, because our thoughts, feelings, and intentions guide our actions, and that's how we present in this dimension. We each act individually, and then we find the people we connect to. And every interaction, from a glimpse to a lifelong friendship, carries its own story and brings out a different version of our true selves. So I hold on close to all of my friends, as if they're extensions of my family. Every relationship is precious, though I've learned through heartbreak that possessive doesn't suit partnerships. So I'll never try to own anyone, though I'll cherish and I'll never let go of our memories. And as much as you love who you want someone to be, the question is, can we accept each other as we are and focus on improving what we can control, and that's ourselves. So I added a global preschool to our community home, and we focused on awareness, self, and contributing to self and others. Finding threads of similarities and bloom. We're celebrating vast ways of the pursuit of life from an array of cultures. Then boom, I'm called home to the Springs. Oh, I'm back. To be closer to my family. And so to teach our children the priorities in life, we pack up. We move home for family. To find ourselves scrambling. And our solution is my latest pursuit. Creating a cooperative model. We're anti-subordinate. We curate a professional space for individuals, each unique, that can set the stage for their dreams to come true. And right as we opened our doors and began to activate the invitation, boom, a mysterious flood wrecked the first floor. So we learned how to lay tile, bloom. In time to open our doors for co-working offices and events to a pandemic. Boom. And we're evolving every step of each day. Embracing all ages, all walks of life. Any professional legal use. We leave no trace, but we make our mark. We leave the space ready for the next person to make their dreams come true. We're co-op autonomists, each of us finding our way to bloom. Together we make the most diverse perennial garden. And we're rooted in challenge, devastation, and explosions. But after each storm, I can't wait to see how we bloom. And in 3 years, I've been blown away by bringing my closest friends into the space, learning from the children whose parents influenced me when I was a child, and now we're playing grown-ups, practicing to cooperate in a professional space where we can each take charge. And Julie introduced me to a network here that has opened our doors to local companies that make up our foundation. To this day, and we've made way for businesses to launch out and beyond. We've had challenges where we are confronted by sharing space with unfamiliar generations, people from different places and contrasting points of view. Boom. And when we realize that we all come to the table with our personal array of passions and pursuits, we each have something our very own to contribute, and we walk away from that table, we're enriched with an ever-expanding new view of the world. And each time we hit a wall or dive straight into rock bottom, which we do, we create a new and more intricate bloom. We're aiming to think globally local and act locally global. And once we wrap our head around the weight of these trees that the wind and the snow have just collapsed in our paths, boom. Springtime, thunder, snow, only in Colorado. I project that together, we, including these trees, each have so much further to grow. I acknowledge the deep-seated weight of all that came before us. I reach ever more steady within to enhance my present state based in every experience, and I reach for the next opportunity. As we together, vines now intertwined, we find our way to flourish.
And now we have Molly with our last sound healing of the evening. Okay, hold on, Molly. My wife is telling me something, and I should listen, so that's what this is all about. Yes, Judy, it's time for you to read an anonymous memoir.
Okay, little writing, smaller writing than mine. Okay. Last week, while attempting to do some urban exploration with some friends, I spent 3 hours convinced I was about to be arrested for trespassing. It turns out the security car was just a random parked car, but the fear of winding up with a criminal record was real. This happened in a different state, so as far as I know, I escaped by the skin on my teeth. P.S. Please don't put this one on my social media.
Thank you, Judy. All right. Are we ready for Molly one more time? All right. So thank you to Molly, Heather, and Judy for sharing your stories tonight. It was very courageous, very awesome. We appreciate you. So Maritza and I are the co-founders of a company called Sophisticated Events, which is what's bringing you all of this. And we obviously do memoirs. We also do Nerd Night for any of you that like to nerd out on stuff. And we also have the Wing Fest, which is coming on August 6th. See, it's not the Wings' fault. It's not Best of the West Wing Fest. So you can find more information on that at sophisticatedeventcos.com. Now, who's ready for next month's theme? Get on this side of the fire. All right, so in our current situation where anxiety and depression are the norm, one may ask themselves, why would I want to be normal? Let us remember that every day contains a universe of potential. Let's exhaust it. Live and love so immensely that when death comes, there is nothing left to take. This rises above the norm. As Maya Angelou once said, if you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. So June's theme is what is normal. So we will be somewhere on June 27th, 6:30. So we will see you at the next Memoirs on June 27th. And with that, time and attention is the best gift we can give to each other. So thank you all for being here.